Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides us run through the world of comics for the first time. My name is Joey Morgan, the aforementioned... You know what? It's stinging. Aforementioned lifelong reader. With me as always is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
77 episodes for you to pull a terrible mistake and leave it in like
You
that.
know, I think if 77 episodes have taught me anything, I think it's that I think I can make some fucking mistakes.
You can also do an intro. You can also do an intro.
You know, that's true. That's true. Although we've definitely cut flubs in the past. Like I've definitely restarted episodes over flubbing an intro. So
yes. Anyway, welcome to Flashfall.
Yeah, Flashfall. We got Flashfall. This is kind of a thing we're doing because we're doing 3 Flash episodes in a row. We're doing the rest of the New 52 Flash. Today we have the first of these. We're finishing the Francis Manapul and Brian Buccellato run on the Flash, and in the following 2 episodes, we're doing literally all of the Robert Venditti and Van Jensen Flash run for the rest of the New 52. So
now, to be fair,
this isn't all Francis Manapul.
Yes,
I'm assuming is what you were going to say.
This isn't all Francis Manapul. We're covering the basically 2 volumes. The first is the volume that actually arguably ends the Manapul Buccellato collaborations.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is a mixture of things. The bulk of it, 3 of the issues, which is sort of the main story, are Brian Buccellato writing. Sadly, not coloring.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-part Flash story. And then there are, oddly enough, before it, there's an annual and then another issue of just other stories that are sadly kind of filler. Like,
I mean, come on, that annual is so good though. Come on.
Oh, quite good filler, but still a little bit of filler. And
but filler isn't bad. Please, everybody, admit that to yourselves.
Filler. I should.
Sorry, I should amend that. Filler isn't inherently bad.
You can have very bad filler.
Yeah, but filler isn't
but also
just a bad thing.
Sometimes you need a breather. Sometimes you need a breather, and sometimes you need a bottle episode to explore your character dynamics and reflect on where they are and where they're going.
Comics as a medium is kind of a thing that doesn't allow what I guess we would consider a bottle episode, though, is it?
No, it does. It definitely does.
I mean, if you're doing like reprint, sure, but there's nothing that literally like that can be considered a budget saver. I think like it all requires like 100% of the work, you know. I think
there isn't anything to force a bottle episode, but you could definitely have issues that are bottle issues.
I suppose. Anyway, entirely beside the point. Let's talk reverse and history lessons. It took us about 5 minutes into the episode to actually say the titles of the things we're talking about.
Yeah. Reverse or okay, potentially in reverse.
I need to say this. I need to say this right now. Everybody, just so you know, we just recorded 3 other videos right before this. Our voices our voices are already fucking shot from those. So I don't know what kind of episode you're about to get. I hope it's decent. I don't know though. I really have no clue.
You're about to get you. It's very possible you're going to get some unhinged shit in this one. Like,
yeah. But I think trying to potentially hinge it to start off. Jacob, what is /r reverse and history lessons about?
Okay. So I understand why we're doing this episode as a double booker. And in a way,
are you questioning my decisions, Jacob?
No, I was about to compliment your decisions. Just let me get words in edgewise.
Thank you. Compliment me faster next time, Jacob, please.
I gotta give you at least a little bit of teasing, okay? No, because I wouldn't want to do history lessons as on its own. Like, it's very much
on its own.
History Lessons is quite short. It's
Mm-hmm.
4 issues in an annual. Even the annual, despite the page count, is actually quite quick.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're telling me a
as
story
are all
about the
these issues.
Flash is quick?
Yeah, I know, it's weird, right? It's almost like he's the fastest man alive or something.
Until he isn't.
Until he isn't. Reverse is everything that Manapul and Bucalato have been leading to.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
is,
definitely.
as the title implies, it is let's set up a very famous Flash rogue for the New 52.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make it a technically 7, kind of 6. It's very difficult because this was a story arc that got hijacked halfway through for Villains Month,
Mm-hmm.
but Manapul
Well,
and Bucalato were able to take their plans and
yeah.
adapt
Well,
them really
they're
well for
they're
Villains
like,
Month.
yeah, it was like they were given like, yeah, they're like, you have to do some villains month, and they're like, okay, you're telling me you get an extra issue? Sure, we'll add an extra part to our story. Fuck yeah. And so they totally own that shit. It's great. Um, yeah, no complaints there. No notes. But yeah, I think I do want to talk a little bit about, being called Reverse. It's obviously about a character called the Reverse Flash, but it's a very different Reverse Flash from the one that the typical comic readers, or I suppose even Flash show watchers, might be familiar with. Without saying too much, because we are non-spoilers here. This is a different identity to the Reverse Flash you're typically used to. One that, I don't know. It's one of those New 52 things where, like a lot of actually bold New 52 decisions, it gets rolled back eventually, and they don't really do much more with the character outside of this volume, which really sucks. But it's
Which
one of
is
those,
that's
but it's one of those
especially a
decisions.
shame.
It's one of those decisions I actually really, really like. It's really cool, and maybe that's also me speaking from a perspective of reverse. Me looking back on it fondly because it is so different and actually really unique. But I don't know. Because I mean, given the future volumes we have coming up for Rob Vendetti, there is still Eobarthon stuff coming up. It's very good Eobarthon stuff, but I do just appreciate how different this is, and how well Manapul and Bucalato pull it off. It's really good, actually.
They took a swing,
Mm-hmm.
and they largely hit. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, why not tell this new story? Why not evolve past what we know? Why not try to make our own mark on Barry Allen as a character? Because Barry has had a long history, a history that in the 21st century I know was largely revised by Jeff Johns,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to make it what we know it as today. Uh, and Reverse is our let's let's wrap up our threads on the book. Let's reintroduce a villain, end with that villain in a very interesting place that it's kind of a shame that it probably won't get entirely picked up upon, but it also might in some interesting other ways because I do know another character is coming to the
Yes,
book.
yeah. Here's the thing.
Um,
So on Reverse and History Lessons, doing two big things with the characters. So being Reverse Flash and History Lessons, sort of reminding us of a big thing about Barry Allen as a character. I will say, going into the next run, Vendetti and Jansen actually have a lot to say about those two things without directly interfering with anything Manapul and Bucalato did, in my opinion. But obviously, we'll talk about that in our coming 2 episodes.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
kind of, yeah.
yeah, because History Lessons it's a 3-part story preceded by an annual and a single issue. Uh, all of them actually quite good on their own. They don't entirely they don't like cohesive. They're not like entirely cohesive into like this is telling a story arc. Um, but they do some interesting things to actually, I think, set up what's coming next. The three-part story especially introduces a very interesting idea about Barry Allen's past and
Yeah,
doesn't quite
definitely.
resolve it. I mean,
And
partially resolves it, but also...
Yeah. Well, it doesn't, and it's something that Vendetti definitely felt the responsibility to pick up on, and he definitely does. So
yeah.
All that said, shall we do some Twitter questions?
Yes.
Hopping over to Discord first. First from our friend Andrew, friend of the podcast, says, "Which Flash villain / rogue is your favorite so far, and why?"
Captain Cold.
Captain Cold.
He's fascinating. Cool. Especially what Manapul and Buccellato did with him throughout this run. And in a way of what Geoff Johns did with him in his Justice League run. But also the way the Rogues played in Rogues Revolution and Guerrilla Warfare was just fantastic. And in Move Forward.
Jacob, what do you think my answer to this question is?
I mean, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be the monkey. It's going to be the
monkey. Yes, the monkey. I love the monkey. But I think, like, yeah, specifically if I am going off of this first run, then yeah, it's the monkey. I love me some Grodd. Love the monkey. Anyway, also from our friend Mason, who's escaped the hellscape that is Twitter, friend of the podcast, says, one, which Flash is best? The one with lights, the one with genitalia, or the one with the fast-running individual? Well, I guess the fast-running individual. We'll go with that.
I don't get what the other two are. Like,
you don't get what the other two are?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, the joke is that you flash your lights, like there's a flashlight, and then there's flashing, right. Then there's flashing, where you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thank you for making me explain that, Mason. 2, so volume 4 is reversed. So I have to read this backwards. I want you to know that whatever you say, I will read it backwards if I ever read it. You know what's weird about reverse is the last issue actually technically comes first. Not even kidding. Not even joking. It actually comes first.
Because it's technically a tie-in to a Batman event.
Yes, and actually really good tie-in to a Batman event. But yeah, no, you're actually right about one issue of it. So yeah, sure. I guess it might make sense a little bit. 3, what was the most important history lesson you've ever had? Like a particular story that sticks out to you? I don't know. I don't actually have an answer to this. Jacob?
I guess my AP history courses in high school, maybe?
Cool.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, Mason.
Mason, I love
the chaos.
4, with stories like this, is it easy to tell which writer did what? Does one author have a particular quirk of writing that the other doesn't? This is actually really cool, actually, because one of our volumes today is just completely without one of our writing team. I think you definitely can feel a bit of a difference.
Yeah,
I think Buccellato is a lot less wordy than Manapul is.
I think Buccellato might enjoy some of the more out there ideas more than Manapul does.
Yeah,
I feel like Manapul likes the run fast time travel stuff, whereas Buccellato is just based on history lessons.
Like you mean Francis Manapul does our regular Flash villains, and Brian Buccellato brings in fucking Deadman for some reason is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but the way my notes were like, wait, what is he doing here?
Because quite literally, everyone recognizes the sheer quality of Boston Brand as a character, and I think that's something
not enough to give him an ongoing.
There's a reason we've covered him so much between one shots in the main podcast, because we've never covered a thing actually dedicated to Deadman, but he just keeps showing up in places. It's great. I love him. And 5, Mason's last question. Worst Flash, the character. Worst Flash. Oh man, probably. I mean, there are only 3 options unless you want to start going Elseworldy. Or start talking larger Flash family things, but if we're just talking about the Flash, I do have to say Jay Garrick. But it's mostly just like if I had to choose one, I love them all really.
Yeah, the one problem is that in starting the podcast and my flash reading with the New 52, it does mean that Wally has especially been shafted. Mainly because he was literally written out of the universe.
Yeah.
And the only other Wally appearances we've had are New Teen Titans, which is
Midwestern conservative.
A bit of a mixed bag. Yeah. So I'm going to have to say Wally West.
Interesting.
However, mainly because I don't think I have enough of Jay. I can't even include Jay.
Last time literally your first Jay Garrick appearance? Last episode of the podcast?
I want to say he was in some Green Lantern by Jeff Johns stuff very briefly.
Very briefly.
But yeah, last time was the first time he's been even then he was still kind of a background player. So for me, it's really between the two. It's Wally. Unless we want to go crazy, you know what? Let's say it's the New 52 Kid Flash featured in this volume is the worst Flash. The fake Bart Allen.
Sure. Getting actually into Twitter questions then from our friend Jamie at Jamie_season7 says, solid into the run. Would be a shame if what came next was incredibly mid. I think most would disagree with you actually, Jamie. I'm pretty sure. I never really seen anything overtly bad said about the next run. Yeah, I don't know. And Jacob, I also trust you'll probably go in with an open mind next time.
Yeah. I mean,
it's definitely, in my opinion, a bit of a step down from the Manapul Bukalata run, but it's still really good. I still really like it. Especially volume 8. I really love volume 8. Yeah,
I'm excited to see because I know Vendetti is sort of someone who essentially picks up runs after creators seem to leave, because he did it with this and Green Lantern.
He was kind of like the Joshua Williamson of the mid 2010s. They just slapped a bunch of really big flagship books on his lap, and he was like, "All right, cool. I guess I'm writing these now." And then he actually had a fucking iconic Green Lantern run that I love and went into Rebirth, and it's so good. And his Flash runs are really solid too. I like his Flash. Unfortunately, though, also the next 2 volumes, his first 2 volumes, I should say, inspired the worst season of the Flash. So.
Oh no!
So there's that. But they're a good story. They just inspired a really bad season of the show. So it's Speaking of, actually, our next question from our friend Kian at Kian the Quark says, "Are you making Jacob watch the Flash TV show for this?" I'm not. Although I think
I physically do not have the time.
You can't even watch a 13 episode TV show for a bonus episode we've been planning for literally months. So
yeah, I am very bad with television. But I have seen.
When did you want to record that bonus episode again, though, Jacob? When did you want to record that?
This month.
Yeah, and how much time is left in this month, Jacob?
I'm not going to comment. I couldn't possibly comment.
You have seen some of the Flash show, right?
I have. I've seen at least the first full season.
I mean, that first season is so good. I love that first season.
I think the first season is actually, yeah, it's actually good. And I know I've seen at least some of season 2.
Season 2 is good to a point.
I don't remember how much, because I think that was basically the year where I was fell off because the Arrowverse got bigger and it's hard to keep up on television.
I unfortunately have watched the entirety of The Flash. Hot take, I know, seasons 4 and 5 are actually pretty good, but after that it gets consistently shit. Yeah.
I mean,
but also I still maintain season 3 is the worst season of the show. I fucking hate season 3, man. But whatever. All that said, Kian's next question says, speaking strictly hypothetically, how long would you believe it was to take? Do you believe it would take the Reverse Flash to jerk off everyone on Earth that could be jerked off at super speed? So here's the thing.
I refuse to do the math on this.
You what?
I refuse to do the math on this.
No. Okay, but what I would like to point out is that I think in order to accomplish that at super speed, the people he's jerking off would also have to have super speed. Their bodies would have to be reacting to what he's doing at the same speed at which they're being jerked off. Like, I know if I was jerked off by the Reverse Flash,
I hate this.
If I was being jerked off by the Reverse Flash, like, I know, like, it would just feel like a really fast hand job. It wouldn't feel like I wouldn't. It wouldn't change the amount of time it would take me to come. like I'm just saying, like,
this is our most juvenile
I'm just
discussion on this podcast.
I still think, Kian, it would take a really, really, really long time, because I don't think the time it would take to actually jerk them off would change. It would just take how long he could. It would just change how long he could get from person to person. So, which is fast, but anyway. Keen also says, to close us out here for our Twitter questions, my name is Barry Allen and I'm the fastest man alive. When I was a child, I saw my mother killed by something impossible. My father went to prison for her murder. Then an accident made me the impossible. To the outside world, I'm just an ordinary forensic scientist, but secretly I use my speed to fight crime and find others like me. And one day I'll find who killed my mother and get justice for my father. I am the Flash. Oh, what an iconic intro to a TV show that sucks. All that said, thank you for that. And also, I'm going to tempt fate right now. We made an entire Q&A session of Fresh Face Comics without getting one of those shitty Doctor Who jokes. So, haha, Kian, Jamie, English Giraffe, anyone that's ever participated in that shit, fuck you. I love you all, but fuck you. Anyway, I think that's a pretty solid streak, though, of those shitty jokes being submitted. How long has it been since we haven't got one of those?
Very long time, a while. Like,
it's been a very long time. I feel like we've been dealing with it for so long now.
I think since April.
Yeah, because I think it was like right before our latest. I think it's been like consistent since our last Green Lantern block, right?
Yeah. I think our last episode that didn't have one was Wonder Woman Volume 5 by Perez.
Yeah. Anyway, spoiler time, friends. Consider this your official spoiler warning. If you're not sticking around for spoilers, just thanks for hanging out with us. Our link trees and everything will be down in the description below. You can check us out there, as well as Amazon links to the books we're covering today and next time on the podcast. If you want to find out what we're covering next time, it is just more Flash. We're covering volumes 6 and 7, which are Out of Time and Savage World. That's it. Those are the names. Thank you. Those are down there as well. You can check those out. Also, wherever you're listening to us, be sure to leave a rating, subscribe. Helps boost the podcast up in the algorithm. Lets people know that you're enjoying what you're listening to. It's awesome. I think that does it. Let's get into spoilers. Here we go with The Flash Volume 4, Reverse, opening on The Flash number 20. So
I am so glad Manapul does pretty much the pencils for this entire arc, except I want to say the Villains Month tie-in he doesn't do.
Yeah, I don't think he does Villains Month. Although he does the cover for that, I'm pretty sure.
He does. He and Bucalata definitely do the cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have a serial killer on our hands.
Yep. A mysterious serial killer that we do not know the name of at all. We actually don't know the real name of, but anyone that has, I'm sure following any promotion at the time would know that it's the Reverse Flash, and this is the New 52 version of the Reverse Flash. Actually, I'd like to begin our discussion by actually talking about the design of this Reverse Flash.
I was gonna say we've got to talk about this design. It is,
yeah. What a choice!
I think it works.
I think it does too. It's a little edgy.
Yes, but also, like, we eventually get an explanation as to why it's like that. And I think it works specifically, but I also think what works about it is we want seasoned readers not to think this is Professor Zoom / Eobard Thawne.
So you have to make him like visually distinct from the Reverse Flash that people already know and love.
And I think the color choices is also great. Like this burning red and black, like feels very burning. It is it's a very interesting choice and a very visually appealing choice. And I like the way Manapul and Bucalata develop this character. We start with just him being a monster because he's going after basically everyone trapped in the Speed Force in the last 2 volumes.
Yes, yeah, which we saw a little bit of last time. Last time being, my God, back in episode 46 of the podcast. Holy shit! My God, it's been a long time.
45 actually. 46 was Green Arrow.
46 was Green Arrow. You're right. But yeah, so he's going after people that are trapped in the Speed Force, and we're gonna hopefully find out why. But meanwhile, Barry and Patty,
that's our 1-page cold open.
Yeah,
our story proper begins. Barry and Patty are moving in together.
It's sweet. I love these.
It's so sweet, but I'm like, oh, I know this relationship is going to fall apart.
Enjoy it while it lasts. They're gonna keep. Here's the thing: at the very least, writers can do whatever they want, I'm sure. But I'm glad it sticks around for all of Manapul and Bucalato's run. Like, after that point, sure, free reign, let DC editorial or whatever writers do whatever they want. But the fact that it sticks around for this whole run, like, it's not a relationship literally set up for failure, is something that I really appreciate Manapul and Bucalato sticking to. It's cool. It's really good. But yeah, they're moving in together. God, how great is it to watch these nerds be nerds together? I love them so much.
It's a relationship that's also developed. Like,
yeah,
we took the time to develop it, and we're talking. We get a little bit more of what Barry's childhood was like.
Because this is the first time that he tells Patty about his mother's death and his father being framed for it and all that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So big moment of the relationship.
It also ends with another big moment of Barry is ready to meet Patty's parents.
Yeah. Really sweet.
And then we spend our title page and a couple pages afterwards setting up that we are back to normalcy.
As normal as we can be after the disappearance of many people and getting them back from the Speed Force and Barry reintegrating himself into normal life. We see him at work.
The Central City Police Department has put Barry in the basement looking at old coils, basically to reorganize them.
Yep. We see Iris West then, who's starting to become a bit more prominent, I would say, in this book, and as she is sort of like asking the police for more information on this sort of disappearances right now. Let's see, what is it? She's
checking on Barry. Barry's checking on her since they both went through the Speed Force together. And Forrest drops by with some sort of artifact, a thing, that it was in the possession of Albert Lim, and there's no way to turn it on. But as soon as it comes into contact with Barry, it starts to glow. And then Patty bursts in to say, "Hey, Marissa's dead. She was murdered in her jail cell. There wasn't any break-in. Things going crazy."
In those exact words.
In those exact words,
yeah. And so Flash goes out to begin to look for others that were trapped in the Speed Force to see who may have known her and may be involved in this. He goes to find
mainly trying to find Gomez.
Who's one of the people who was given powers by the Speed Force after they all got out. Gomez starts to run away from the Flash when he sees that that Flash is looking for him. This sort of leads to this chase scene, which I really love. Actually, we get to see Barry. It's in this like subway station, and as Gomez runs away, this train is coming down towards them, and Gomez is sort of through their fight. They sort of like cracked these these railways, and so Flash has to like use his speed and like make this sort of like vortex for the train to sort of like go through and like continue normally on its path. It's just really cool to see. I love the way Manapul draws it. It looks awesome. Just Manapul drawing Flash using the Speed Force has always looked fantastic. No different here. It looks so good. But then Barry is looking into Marissa's body, looking into the sort of like cuts all over it. He's also investigating the device that Forrest brought to him, and it shows him this sort of vision of a kid, sort of playing. Or no, not a kid. This is who was this character's name again?
This is Albert.
Albert. That's right. Yes. Right before he died, at the end of the last volume. And as
it turns out he was actually pushed off of a roof.
Yes.
And there was
Barry can get a glimpse of who this figure was that pushed him, and the only thing he can make out is that there was a symbol on their chest with a lightning bolt on it, and Barry can only think of one other person that wears a costume with a symbol like that, and that is the Kid Flash of the Teen Titans right now. And so that is where our first issue ends, bringing us into Flash number 21.
Honestly surprised. This is like being set up as a almost straightforward mystery for the first couple of issues of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we had kind of a mystery story back in Move Forward.
Yeah, but I'm kind of glad that it is. I mean, there's obviously the dramatic irony that the audience gets revealed on the first page that there is a new Reverse Flash.
Yeah,
but Barry wouldn't know. Barry wouldn't know. So Barry logically goes to the first first potential perpetrator, I guess, being this Kid Flash. And
it's so funny though, because Barry sees in this projection that the symbol is on the guy's chest, and this Kid Flash design has no symbol on his chest, it's on his shoulders. So like, sure, Barry, go on that lead, I guess.
I feel like this is DC editorial saying, hey, we don't know why, but our Teen Titans book isn't doing great. Did you do a mini?
I fucking wonder. Oh man, I've definitely read this Teen Titans book. I don't remember much about it other than like the Death of the Family tie-ins, because there were Death of the Family tie-ins. There were also tie-ins to Red Hood and the Outlaws. They made like a big 4-part tie-in with. You know what? I'm a Red Hood and the Outlaws defender for the most part, but my god, like what? Why? Like, whatever. Anyway, Flash number 21. Let's get into this. Barry is hunting down this Kid Flash that we do not know the identity of. It's the New 52 kind of version of Bart Allen,
who isn't actually Bart Allen.
Yeah. Comments on the character aside, I love this costume design. Actually,
I like how they would eventually kind of incorporate some of the design elements into certain Rebirth Wally West Flash.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
In a couple of ways.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which helps distinguish, because I do struggle telling Barry and Wally apart when they're in costume.
I don't know how you do that. But again, I know that's just it's a me thing. I don't know. Anyway.
Also, this kid is so
we're hunting
annoying.
down Bart. We're kind of
like
Bart.
This kid annoys me.
A little bit. I mean, I kind of get why in the context of this issue. Like, it's all he knows is that the Flash started hunting him down, but also like, I suppose he should kind of figure at least one reason as to why. It might be because he doesn't even know the Flash and he's calling himself Kid Flash. So like, I don't know. That's got to be some form of copyright infringement, right? Like that's not something you can do, right? I don't know. Anyway,
like there's a moment in India, because we're spanning the world here.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on that. I was just going to comment on that because I do actually like all the different places that this chase sequence kind of takes us through, as Flash and Kid Flash are sort of running around each other. It's just cool. I really like seeing it.
But this kid, he calls out by calling. I think he's calling Tim Drake. help people because they're on the same team.
Yeah, he wants some help.
It's
That's
like
all.
it's like I don't know. It's like I don't know, man. He maybe said something about murder. I didn't stick around to find out. It's not like I. It's not like I did it. He probably just wants his name back. Like,
But then Barry catching up with him, their speed forces collide or something, and Barry gets a speed force vision thing of seeing that Bart, or sorry, Kid Flash does not come from this time period, and so he wants to
he's
know
from the
more. But
future, which has a court system where the judges apparently like to wear powdered wigs.
yeah, I mean, hey, good for them, I guess. Nice future,
Like
guys.
18th century powdered wigs.
Yeah, yeah. It's the fashion.
It's the fashion. Uh,
Yeah.
they keep running. I
Again,
swear this
again,
feels like it's
a lot of great page layouts here too.
the layouts are Manipul and Bucalata are stellar on the art.
Yeah.
Um, Bucalata's colors are especially good here.
Oh yeah.
Um, but and I like that Kid Flash is reckless enough to like reach a velocity to break the force of gravity.
Mhm.
Um, but like, okay, when Barry catches up to him, there's this almost heart to heart that, in theory, I like, but I don't necessarily think has a place in this story. Like,
Really? I don't mind it.
I- mainly, it's the thing of it would hit harder if this was a book focusing on the Kid Flash and not
I
like
mean, I think, I mean, if that's your complaint, then maybe how it should have been handled is if it was like a just a quick little two-part crossover between Flash and Teen Titans.
yes,
But at the very least,
like
like both readers were definitely checking out this story. Um, but as it stands, I mean, I don't mind it. It's just just trying
it's
to
a well
develop on
written
a
scene. It
character.
just doesn't have as much emotional impact as it could have. Is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I think that's mostly just because you don't know who this version of the character is. That's all.
Yeah, and I don't
Um,
think anyone reading the Flash is going to necessarily know who this character is because
hey, you don't know what people were reading at the time. I think that just happens all the time though in comics though, doesn't it? It's just like it's a character you don't know don't know at all shows up in a book that you're reading, and it's like, okay, well, that's just kind of go along with it. I don't know. Anyway, closing out the issue though, we do get a quick scene between Iris West and her brother Daniel West, um, who who's trying to sort of like reconnect with her. They've been away, they've been separated for a long time, and we get this sort of like, I do like that this scene is very, this first scene at least between them is very civil, but you do get these really nice sort of like this sort of like undercurrent of like some tension between them. That's something that not everything's
yeah,
okay in their sort of past relationship.
and
It's
it's
cool.
very it's not so much. I don't want to say vague. Vague is the wrong word. But it's very much like you could either read it that Daniel is genuinely trying to reach out and Iris is being not receptive, or Iris has been burned too many times by Daniel before.
Yeah,
And it's a
yeah,
really nice sort of questionable interplay between
yeah,
the two,
yeah. Definitely,
um,
definitely.
especially with this whole idea that Daniel can't forgive his father for something that
Hmm.
we will discover later, which I think is exactly what he can't forgive his dad for doing. And when it's revealed, it adds an interesting layers added to this character, shall we say.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, we also
But
get
then we
another
also,
page of very nice romance of Barry accidentally leaving Patty alone in the rain. He didn't forget, but he did set up the hall for her parents' anniversary.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's nice. It's sweet. And then we also see closing out the issue, we have Gomez here sort of running away, running from someone, something, which is of course the Reverse Flash who kills Gomez and says 3 down, 2 to go. How do we imagine this Reverse Flash's voice actually? I don't know how to interpret it actually.
I I don't think I had like a voice in my head for
Because
it.
it's got to be like very, very auto-tuned, very modulated, I would imagine. If we're trying to portray this, we gotta definitely like hide the identity. Through the voice as well. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I literally just thought about that now. I was like, how would that sound? Because I was trying to read it out. I was like, wait a second, how would that character sound? But anyway, moving into the Flash number 22 with the cover that becomes the cover of the collected edition, which I think is just such a great cover. I love it.
It is a real. They chose this one for as the cover for a reason.
Yeah, it's good shit. It's good shit.
Yeah. And because I don't think they really could have gone with anything else, and it would have fit as well.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, it depends on like how front and center you wanted to make this Reverse Flash. Because like maybe you could have done like the Villains Month issue cover.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, Flash number 22. Opening up here. We're investigating Gomez's murder. And Barry is here on the scene, and Director Singh
is pushing Barry away for good reason, because he needs to steer clear, because this is a serial killer is on their hands.
Yep.
It's going to create panic for the department.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to go wrong, and Barry really has no choice but to step back.
Yeah. Meanwhile, let's catch up with the major asshole, Dr. Darwin Elias, we haven't seen for a while now. Actually, now that I think about it,
not since the last volume.
Yeah, a million years ago. But yeah, he has a
he's doing something to. He wants to use the Speed Force to accelerate the evolution of human civilization, even though that means that Barry's going to have to die. Obviously hinting that maybe he's the Reverse Flash. It's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember thinking actually or I think you said to me, because I did ask you at one point while you were reading it, who sort of like your prime suspects were, and I think you said Elias was one of them.
Elias was the main one for another one, for the longest time, mainly because he wasn't in the first two issues, and I'm like, he's still around. You're not going to introduce a character like that, drop him.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we then you know what? Okay, so let's do an All-Star Superman moment. Let's do it because it's so fucking good. Let's give Iris West a speed suit and just look. I'm assuming we're trying to evoke All-Star Superman here because that's very much the vibe this gives me. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Essentially,
Barry is also like, I'm going to try to track down and keep safe other victims. Our other victims who were trapped in the Speed Force, mainly myself and Iris, because we're the only two left, and we are obviously going to be the next target.
Yeah,
and it's clear that Manapul and Gugulato are like playing the long game of these characters are going to eventually come together and fall in love.
Yeah. Because we're going to start sowing seeds of doubt, because Barry takes... Well, first off, actually, we get this great scene where we take Iris across the salt flats, which I always love that as a sort of like representation of Barry's sort of like... trying to think how to describe it. Just like a way that he is able to like use his speed to relax and put someone in, and using it to like put someone else in a state of calm as well. I really like. But he does take her then to the police lab, and we do start sowing some seeds of distrust, jealousy between Iris and Patty, because Iris and Patty are put face to face here, and they end up talking a lot about Barry and the Flash, and
And Patty knows that Barry's the Flash. Iris doesn't. They also discovered part of a monorail out in the Utah Salt Flats that exploded.
Yep.
Branded with the lab of Dr. Elias.
This is fine. So, nothing's wrong.
Nothing is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And Patty's going to have to babysit Iris while Flash goes to Dr. Elias.
Yep. Who has an encounter with Reverse Flash of his own. And
I will say, it's this. The art does this great bait and switch. We're at his lab,
where he's like, it looks like he's like looking at a reflection,
and we think, oh, is it him? And it's like, no, it's someone else.
Yep, because Reverse Flash is here to steal Dr. Elias's technology here, and Barry's here to step in and put a stop to that. We get, you know what? Okay, this confuses me actually. I don't know why they did it this way. Those two two-page spreads in a row, that are still really good. They look great, but like they're very similar spreads. I don't know why they have them one right after the other. It's weird.
Honestly, I think it's because they need to fill out pages. Like,
it's odd.
Because it kind of, it almost does this thing of repeating information. It has this great narration from Reverse Flash about how he can do more than run fast. He can turn back time, and then Barry has to have a page of narration to himself. Like that wasn't necessary. Like we could have just skipped that page completely and jumped to the final page of Barry getting his ass kicked.
It's still super, like it's fucking great art, and I won't complain about looking at it, but it's a weird structure. I don't know. Barry does get his ass kicked. He gets pinned up against a wall, and as Reverse Flash is supposedly about to kill him, we end our issue there, taking us into the Flash number 23.
I genuinely think it might be a Manapul and Buglado wrote this issue and they're like, shit, we're 2 pages short.
Yeah.
We're going to slip in a beautiful 2-page spread here and some narration and hope nobody notices.
Yeah. 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 But picking up in our next issue then, we have Elias kind of stepping in. First off, also, we haven't commented on it yet. We usually do, I think, every Flash episode. But my God, I love these title cards so much, how they're literally part of the action. I love the one here, especially when Elias is firing his gun and it turns into DC Comics Proudly Presents. It looks so good. I love it.
Wall is in reverse. The wall is in reverse, whereas I think it's hard to tell where the Flash is because trade and they have a tendency to like to remove the title.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's like we can't have the book. It's especially for art like this. I've gone on this tirade before.
You have.
Keep it all because your artists are doing interesting things. I'd like to see it all. Yeah. So
Iris and Patty.
Iris and Patty.
Yeah. More tension between them. Also, we are doing a sort of DNA test on the blood found at the crime scene, trying to find out who Reverse Flash is. And Iris gets a look at the screen that says DNA match found, 99 point whatever %. And
well, Patty is going off to her parents' anniversary. I'm kind of surprised that it ends there and we didn't get like a reaction shot of.
Well, I wonder if that is meant to try to do maybe like one final a potential red herring of like maybe it's somebody that is in that lab there.
Maybe. What if they were trying to set up Patty as a red herring?
Patty is a Reverse Flash.
That would be. That would be an interesting. It wouldn't work, I don't think.
No. But no, yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's there for a reason, and also I think the reaction shot isn't there to not give away the twist too early. Although it is the closest we've gotten so far. But
yeah. Meanwhile, we get some amazing action art. Again, amazing layouts. I love the use of the semicircles.
Oh yeah, that looks fantastic.
And this is
a great. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That all the Reverse Flash wants is all the Speed Force users dead,
so that he has the Speed Force all to himself. Also, great.
There's this idea that when every Speed Force user uses it to move, it moves time forward for them, and he can feel it, which is really, really interesting because if they're all dead, he can move time backward and change everything. And then he beats Barry up again.
I actually wasn't thinking about that much. That also has kind of a thing that continues into the Vendetti run. Vendetti actually, you know what? Say what you will. Vendetti did a great job of actually just continuing a lot of plot threads from this run. God damn.
Keeping the ideas.
Yeah.
If we pause our action of the issue
to get this
really nice scene between Patty and her dad.
Yeah. It's just a really, really sweet moment. Because Patty is obviously waiting on Barry to show up. But her dad gives this great little like speech to her. About like, you know, it just like like, you know, just like he hasn't met Barry, but he still like is like trying to just like fill her up with hope in this moment here. It's really sweet. I really like it.
Now Patty, of course, knows that Barry is doing Flash things.
Yeah.
But I love possible that Barry's just not ready to meet your big scary father.
Yeah,
like it's very sweet.
With that line. I love the way this guy is drawn. He looks so sweet. Yeah, just great.
I don't know. It's very. I imagined for Patty's dad the voice of my own grandfather, which is a very interesting voice.
Nice.
Which is so a very stubborn Midwestern Italian American, which is certainly a choice.
Nice. Yeah, we then catch back up with Iris once again, who is looking over the DNA results again, and
here is where we get our soap opera-esque gasp. It's not possible.
But because we're in a superhero soap opera, when she cries, they're Speed Force tears. It is actually a really cool moment.
It is okay. It's really good. I was waiting for this beat to happen. I'm like when I saw the DNA match, I was like, oh, we're gonna get soap opera shit in here. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's about now we can start talking about our twist reveal coming up here, which again, I think it's just like there comes a point in the story when like you should definitely be able to see it coming. And I've talked about this a fair bit. Actually, I don't think I've talked about this ever on the podcast. I don't know. I love a twist you can see coming.
Well, like there's this misconception that twist in the story necessarily needs to be shocking.
Yeah. Like I was definitely talking about this on the latest episode of RTBD. With a particular twist in the Acolyte. Go check that out if you want to check it out. It's a good time. But like just sort of like in favor of the obvious twist, like I don't know, I like as long as it makes sense, I don't care about how obvious it is. Like as like the twist, as long as like there's something like as long as you're not like throwing out the logic of your story to surprise your audience, like it's fine. It's gonna be good. I'm not gonna complain, even if I can see it coming.
I think where we go with this is one of the great murder mystery twists is who the killer is in Murder on the Orient Express. I'm not going to go and spoil it if you haven't engaged with Murder on the Orient Express. I highly recommend you do that.
Such a good book.
Specifically, either the book or the 1974 film adaptation. Those are the two mediums where the story is presented at its best. Avoid any other adaptation, even the David Suchet one, and especially the Kenneth Branagh one. It is a twist that he makes Hercule Poirot an action star, Joey.
I've never watched those movies, so I wouldn't know.
You don't. But Agatha Christie in that who the murderer is makes so much sense. And it's something that if you then read the book again, you can see exactly where the murderer is making their moves. And exactly where things are clicking into place and how they click into place. It's not one that I think is necessarily easily guessable, but any other solution would not make sense.
Yeah.
And if just because someone can guess the twist doesn't mean you should change the twist to try to make it more shocking. A lot of times shocking, if you're trying to do shock value, the twist doesn't work. Like, say, Friday the 13th. There is a twist in that makes absolutely zero sense and is just there to be shocking and give a little bit of camp to that movie. Because this one twist is, first off, I love the way it's presented. Barry's on the ropes.
Still
Reverse Flash
getting his ass kicked. And
shooting Barry with Dr. Elias's gun.
Yes.
Iris jumps in front, yells, "Daniel, no!"
Oh, so good. Such a good moment. You see get this great panel of this shock and realization on Daniel's face as Iris falls into Barry's arms. This wonderful outburst of rage and emotion come from all of our characters in this moment. Daniel pissed at Iris's decision, but taking it out on Barry, and Barry pissed off at Daniel for attacking Iris, leading to this great moment when they charge at each other, and Daniel grabs Barry and takes him back in time, claiming that I'll change everything, as we see just this vague hint of a man standing at the top of a staircase as we sort of close out our issue.
Or my notes at this point, I'm like, ooh, so are we doing Daniel West as the killer of Nora Allen? Question mark.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not expect you to make that connection. That's interesting. That is not at all what they do. But that would be interesting.
It isn't at all what they do. There's a reason that my note has a question mark on it. So I'm like, oh, is this what we're going with? It wasn't.
But... about that. Huh.
So,
we have part of the Forever Evil Villains Month issues, and it has nothing to do with Forever Evil. It's just an extra issue that Manapul and Buccellato granted themselves because of a big DC Comics event, and this
does mean that they had to change their titling scheme slightly, because this is they were doing in reverse parts 1, 2, 3, 4. They wanted obviously to be 5 and 6, but this is a weird crossover. If this is reverse part 5, basically.
Yeah. And this is the issue is Flash number 23.2. Because how they would sort of
we can give decimals to issue numbers.
Absolutely,
guys.
Why not? I mean, hey, when your output is that massive, just why waste actual issues?
A lot of this is Daniel West's backstory.
Yeah.
And motivations. And he's actually really sympathetic. Like,
I think a big credit to Scott Hepburn, who's on art for this issue. Because I think on the second page, when he gets to start drawing Daniel with his Reverse Flash, I think that's when I finally understood what Manapul and Buccellato were going for with the design. When you see that first panel of Reverse Flash there, and you see like how sort of like the black from the back of the costume sort of like overtakes the sort of like almost burnt head that where the red comes from. Like I think as much as I love the way that Manapul and Buccellato do the design in their issues, I think Hepburn really crushes the logistics of the design and like making it like physically make sense and giving the reader something to grasp onto when they're picturing it. Just really cool. It just something that really is worth noting, I think. But Daniel goes to visit his father, who is a piece of shit. And he wants to make his father pay for the horrible childhood that he put him through. And look, simple ass villain motivation aside, I like the extent to which Manapul and Buccellato write Daniel's motivations, because it is meant to be read as and should be played as a tantruming child,
a tantruming child continuing a cycle of abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Iris and Daniel's dad was an alcoholic. And there's a very fine line being walked to not dehumanize him. Like, because, to be honest, their dad fucks up big time.
Yeah.
But it's not that Daniel doesn't ever get any help, because what's important before we actually get to stuff in the past is we get to see Daniel in the present.
Well, I should say, I guess more the recent past.
The recent, yeah.
Because we see Daniel's side of his role in the whole people being trapped inside the Speed Force thing from like Rogue's Revolution and guerrilla warfare. And so yeah, it's like it's an important thing to like see, like, because this is how Daniel got his powers, was being inside the Speed Force here, and it sort of him sort of like crashing through here, sort of like burning his body, and the crash, the metal around him being the thing that sort of like forms around his body and makes up that black part of the suit, looks so fucking cool. And when you again, this is Scott Hepburn talking, I think, mostly here, but I love the idea behind the suit and how it makes itself around him. Really, really cool stuff. Like physically making it out of the disaster that put him in this position. I think is just an ingenious idea for a villain costume. So cool. All that said, we do get some more flashbacks then of young Daniel and Iris West, and their sort of troubled past.
Daniel sort of that Daniel didn't ever try to grow from his poor childhood. That he just sort of ran away from his problems and had to pick up the pieces. And it also turns out that early in Barry's career, he was responsible for putting Daniel in prison.
Yep.
After a bank robbery.
Mm-hmm. And we also
and after all that, we get to see Daniel's childhood.
Yeah. Which, look, I mean, villains are villains, definitely, but my God, what a horrible guy his dad is. My God, miserable. I know we mentioned the Flash TV show. I know we mentioned the Flash TV show a fair few times throughout this, but my God, could you imagine Jesse L. Martin being this man? Good God. But sorry, what were you saying?
I completely forgot that is how the Flash TV show.
Jesse L. Martin is, yeah, exactly. Yeah, legend, fucking Jesse L. Martin, who I love so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that they're meant to be the same character, technically.
Technically, but also the show never did Daniel West, so you know, there's that.
Yeah. You know what? I think in the decision to cast Jesse L. Martin in this role,
yeah, you can't.
They made the right choice.
Daniel.
They also kind of, if we're taking the Flash TV show as a New 52 adaptation, they're kind of also combining him with Captain Fry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if we're taking, obviously, I know it's.
Oh yeah, because the show does that fucking thing where it's that Barry and Iris are kind of like they're like they have this weird sibling like relationship, but then also they're fucking in love with each other. It's God, what a show. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, yeah, horrible guy. He continually just tortured his children pretty much until Daniel sort of lashed out, pushed his dad down the stairs, sort of permanently putting him in a wheelchair, and
ran away. Also, Iris came and found him the next morning, and there are some sparks of things maybe being reconciled, but they then come back and find out, oh no, history's being changed. Reverse Flash Janet from the future is here trying to kill his father. And
yeah,
it's a wham ending.
Yeah, it's good shit. Oh my God.
Oh, honestly, I really, really like how sympathetic they make Daniel. Like, he's awful, but like, he's also a Reverse Flash, I think, with more potential beyond this one story. And it's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
He hasn't really been used all that much. I think Joshua Williamson, I read, might have used him briefly in like a cameo role. Because
that sounds right. Yeah.
That sounds like a Joshua Williamson thing.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, bringing us into the last issue of the reverse story arc with the Flash number 24, with probably actually my favorite cover of the reverse story. I really love that one. I might use that as the podcast thumbnail. Now that I think about it,
you
really
should.
That would make a really good podcast thumbnail.
It's also just a great showcase of Manapul and Bucalato's style.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But yeah, let's get into this. We do sort of cover the same ground that the Villains Month issue sort of went over. For those that didn't pick up that issue, I'm sure that's why that's here on this sort of flashback.
But it also does Barry's narration also does some very nice paralleling with Flashpoint, and sort of the whole idea of this kind of being a companion to Flashpoint.
Yeah.
At least the idea of going back to change the horrible things in one's childhood.
Yeah. I mean, I think also this is one of those, like, New 52 continuity was an absolute mess kind of things, but also the Flash comics don't really acknowledge Flashpoint's existence until Rebirth happens, which is so weird.
Yeah, but thematically, we're also referencing the fact that both of these characters have had a tragic parental relationship, very different ones.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, everybody read Flashpoint.
Like, everybody read Flashpoint.
That's going to be in people's minds. I've read Flashpoint. It was adapted into a very well-regarded film.
I love that film, man.
And then it was adapted again into another film, kind of, sort of,
maybe not.
That really. I have not seen.
It has some decent moments.
Like, I love on this 2-page titles, the 2-page title spread. That despite everything, Child Daniel is "Don't Hurt My Dad."
Oh, mwah. Beautiful.
Because this is also the one where Manapul and Bucalato draw Reverse Flash Daniel at his most monstrous.
Oh, definitely, because he is. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm looking at that next page after the title spread. Oh my god, I love the way that just like the sort of like metal that makes up that part of his costume just continues to expand, and he sort of like grows claws on his hand.
He gets sharp canines.
Yep.
Which is, this whole idea of like, hey, there are repercussions. We have to move forward. We have to keep moving forward, which has kind of been the theme of this entire run. Like,
there is also the idea of the costume morphing Daniel to make him look more like a literal monster, so that little Iris and little Daniel have like something to be like scared of, and to actually call Daniel a monster to his face. I think it's just a really important beat here to have. It's great. We get this great sort of fight between Daniel and Barry.
But it's also it's a reserved fight from the several issues of action that we've had before this. Like, I really like how kind of quiet the conclusion is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it all has to do with this sort of literal and trying to think the word for it, literal and metaphorical thing that Barry does, where he takes away Daniel's pain in a way. We get this sort of like visual representation of him accepting Daniel's costume, like taking in the darkness from him, the black part of Daniel's costume, like consuming that himself, taking away his pain and forgiving him in that moment. I think it's really cool, really powerful stuff. I just good shit, really good shit.
And it's even more tragic because Daniel admits what he did, but he also says, "It was all me, and when I get another chance, I'll do it all over again."
Yeah. Oh god. Good shit.
Also paralleled with Barry elbowing Dr. Elias. Just, I love seeing this guy get punched in the face.
Yep.
Taking away his
even through all this, after Barry is really continually saving Elias's life, Elias still wants to shoot him in the fucking head. But yeah, we knock out Elias. We take Daniel in. We get a great scene here towards the end of Barry meeting Patty's dad. him dancing with her, really sweet scene. We go back to Elias's lab, and Barry just threatens the guy and goes on his way. We get another great scene between Daniel and
a heartbreaking scene of Daniel in prison.
Yeah, talking to Iris and just showing just how he is physically unable to just move on from the trauma of his not even move on from the trauma of his past, but to even try to work through that in a healthy way. He still just wants vengeance, and I love that. I love that theme.
And we end essentially with 5 whole pages of Barry talking to himself how he's going to try and still move forward from everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is really, these last 5 pages are the big send off to the actual Man of Hobukalado run. This is the end. This is sort of our epilogue here. We get a really great final full page of Flash running.
I think that's used. Great. Is that used as a cover for the Omni? I think.
Oh, it might be actually. It might be that.
I think it is because it's definitely the Omni is definitely not like the Move Forward cover.
Yeah,
I think that might be the Omni cover.
That might be it. Now, of course, Manapul and Bucalato continue to do the next issue together, and Bucalato stays in the book for a while longer and throughout the next volume. But this is really, I think, the end of their main run, and it's a great send off. It really is. Reverse as a story arc is just fantastic. Yeah. We do, however, have one more issue with the Flash number 25 in this volume. This is a tie-in to Batman Zero Year.
Yeah,
I didn't warn you about this at all ahead of time.
You didn't. So I was like, wait, why are we in? We're in. Like, wait. I'm like, oh, did we have one more? So I'm like, I thought that was an ending. Well, I looked at this cover. I'm like, okay, it looks like we're, I don't know, maybe doing something. I wasn't quite sure what we were going with. So, and then I turned the page and I'm like, oh, Zero Year. Okay.
Yeah, Zero Year. There are actually a lot. We do have to read more of them someday. There are a lot of really great Zero Year tie-ins. This being one of them. I really enjoy this issue. It's a simple issue. It's
a simple issue. I think what helps make it work is that first off, it is a Flash issue. It's not a Flash Batman crossover tie-in. Like,
yeah, it's just Flash. And it's Flash not as the Flash. It's just Barry Allen. Barry Allen this is pre-Lightning Strike. This is Barry happened to be in Gotham City at the time of the blackout of the Zero Year, helping out the GCPD.
He's apparently just graduated from the police academy for in forensic science. And he happened to have his early assignments not in Central City but in Gotham when the Zero Year when the EMP happened.
Yep. Working a lot with fucking Harvey Bullock throughout all this, which is awesome. I love that. There's nothing I can't love about that. Come on, that's so good.
And he's dealing with basically some drug trade. There's this drug called Icarus, which gives people superpowers, but then kills them.
Yep. Also in the city at the time is Iris West, who we have Barry and Iris's first canonical meeting within the New 52 universe, this timeline.
It's a very sweet meeting. It's a very sweet meeting.
And is very much the thing that is going to bolster going forward what DC editorial wants to do with Barry and Iris's characters post Manapul Bucalato. So I mean, whatever your feelings are on that, whatever, I do think this is a great issue. If you're going to justify that shift, I think adding this sort of history to them, I think is a really smart way of doing it.
It certainly helps.
Yeah.
Especially because, let's be honest, Barry and Iris haven't been very close up to this point in the Manapul Bucalato run.
No. I mean, she's been involved enough, but yeah, Iris won't become really heavily involved in New 52 Flash until Vendetti. But yeah, this is again, I think just adding this extra history to their characters is nice. Also, most of the issue is penciled by Chris Sprouse, who's a different enough artist for this. However, Francis Manapul once again takes the reins for the last couple pages, and my god, that second to last page is fucking electric. And I'm not just talking about the lightning behind them. It's so good. Oh, I love that second to last page. And the last page.
This whole thing, it's them. They find this drug. They find this drug. Barry, like, Iris ends up having a account where she can get a sample of the drug.
Mm-hmm. Turns out one of the people peddling the drug is Bullock's partner. And Bullock has to make the hard decision to take him down in the end. Harvey Bullock being Harvey Bullock. Barry gets hit with the drug at one point towards the end, and doesn't actually get to play a role in actually saving the day, which I find really interesting. It is pretty much just Bullock, and Bullock is there to sort of teach Barry this hard lesson in the end, and Barry's still trying to be the better man through it all, and I think it's just a really cool statement to make about his character. I like that. We end on Barry and Iris saying farewell to each other as the storm begins, and they kiss each other as they leave. And there's this gorgeous red lightning behind them, and it looks so good. It's so awesome. Barry leaves, and that is the end of the issue, and as such, the end of the volume. End of our first volume today. All right.
Yeah, it's also. It feels like it wants to be this is going to become the night when he gets struck by lightning, even though he's in. It's not, because
it's not. No, it doesn't have to be either. It's fine with what it is.
Anyway, now as we move into the back, I guess half of the episode,
it's not going to take long. Yeah, history lessons.
You can feel physically how much thinner this volume is to compare to the first.
Yeah, you're picking them up one right after the other. Yeah, it's much thinner volume. We've got five issues to cover here. Let's go. Kicking off with an annual, Flash Annual number 2. Although Manapul has left the writing staff, he is still drawing covers and still being fucking amazing at it. I love that cover.
It's also important that this is one of 2 issues where Buccellato is not involved at all outside of the cover.
No. He writes the first story of this issue.
Oh, right. He does write the first story.
He doesn't write the second one.
He doesn't write the second one. That's where my brain got confused.
Yeah, but he writes the
first one. It's the next issue that he doesn't write anything for.
Yeah, but the first story here is The Quick and the Green, which is actually a reference to a line from Geoff Johns' Justice League where Flash and Green Lantern met before, and so this is that story. This is
there's this moment in Justice League Origin in the second or third issue where it's we know each other, and we know each other's secret identities. Our setup is Barry has taken Hal Jordan to a lounge to listen to some jazz. Hal Jordan hates it, and suddenly they're transported to a planet called Arena World.
Yeah,
I love how it's wait, there was a deal. We're coming back to collect on our deal. It's what deal? It's a long story. I know, I was there. Right, our first date.
And so we go. I like that we're starting to loosen up on the timeline thing. We say a few years ago now, which I really appreciate. Not being as hard about that these days. In the New 52, that is. But we flash back to Barry Allen looking into a case and of these missing kids, and as he goes out to investigate it in this Coast City Children's Home, he comes across Green Lantern for the first time ever. He meets Green Lantern. There is this really funny bit where he calls him Batman, or no, he calls him Superman. And Green Lantern, Hal gets really offended at that. There's something I really love about Buccellato writing these characters. He has a really real sense for Barry and Hal as characters, and just how they play off each other. Part of me would really like to have just seen Buccellato write more of their dynamic together outside of this one story, because it's really good. It's just a really great dynamic. I think a lot of it is based on the groundwork that Jeff Johns lays for it in Justice League, but I don't know. It doesn't change the fact that it's still just really damn good.
I'd argue not just Justice League. I'd argue in pre-New 52 Green Lantern that Johns did as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love this whole confusion of like, you must be stealing this. It's like, no, I'm with the police. I'm investigating. And it's like, and then there's a light from the windows, so Hal goes to investigate. Barry becomes the Flash. Hal immediately clocks Barry Allen as the Flash.
Yeah, because like he doesn't change his voice at all. He doesn't. He got there the second after he left the random forensics guy that he left in Coast City. So yeah, it's very easy to put together. And also, I like the thing that Barry immediately does then when he like you can tell he's like vibrating his vocal cords with the Speed Force with the thing they do around the speech bubble. It's really funny. I like that. But yeah, we begin fighting these aliens because these aliens are stealing kids, and so Barry and Hal get taken to this like alien fighting arena, and so they fight these aliens to free
the people
in
charge of this arena have been basically recruiting the children. They were told not to invest in humans because humanity is weak, which is a really interesting idea. On how like sort of humanity's perseverance, despite being seen as sort of a weak, frail race in the big, wide universe that's out there. Especially because the kids are also transformed into monsters somehow. And essentially, it's this fight that kind of ends with Hal basically being like, "Hey, I'm a Green Lantern. I'm going to make sure these kids get released." But the deal is that they'll let Barry and Hal take these kids if they can come back and have Hal and Barry compete in this tournament at some future date.
And Hal was just kind of hoping that they had forgotten over the years, which very Hal Jordan thing to do. But now we're back in the present, and they still have to fight, and so the rest of this story kind of mostly becomes this long fight sequence where Hal and Barry are fighting these various aliens throughout the rest of the story. Great action sequence. It's fun to read. The art by who did the art on this one? I just had
art is
Sam Basri.
Sammy Basri.
Sammy Basri. Yeah, just great art. I really enjoy it. It's a very nice, clean take on Barry and Hal. It's fun. But yeah, through all this, they eventually win the fight, and they leave together. Green Lantern making a motorcycle sidecar thing in space for him and Barry, and that's it. It's fun. It's a fun story.
It's very fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of what you wanted from an annual story that's technically in between runs of a book. Yeah. Honestly, like
exactly. It's a good time to tell the story. I think it's good.
It also has some nice things to say about humanity that are kind of hopeful, and those are always fun. Details is
by Nicole Dubek, with art by Cully Hamner. Is solid enough. I enjoy it.
It's a solid little thing about the various little decisions that people make during their lives, how that can change. Small decisions can change the projection of someone's life.
Every great decision creates ripples.
Like a huge boulder dropped in the lake.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, no, it's we opened by like seeing like Barry. They're having a party for Forrest's birthday at the crime lab, and and while they're here, Barry sees about this. This is also first off the first portion of this story is like 2 years ago. And so like Barry sees this it's like fire happening like in this apartment complex. He goes to save the people as Flash, and he's able to save mostly everyone except this one guy's wife dies in the fire, and so flash forward to the present day. Barry sees that there is this bomb threat from a guy on a news report, and it is the guy whose wife died in the fire, and turns out that the guy's daughter turned out to be like a paramedic, and she used what happened to her mother as a way to like better herself and and bolster her forward her life. And here is this guy just dwelling on the past. There's also this implication that like he's the guy that caused the fire in the apartment complex in the first place through his sort of carelessness by smoking. So decisions create ripples, yada 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 yada. Remembrance of the Daleks, etc. You get the idea.
It's very sweet. It's very sweet. It's only like 8 pages. It's a short little story.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that finishes off the annual there, taking us to the Flash number 26. Jacob, I want you to take a really good look at the cover here by Brett Booth and Norm Rapmund. So that is covers and interiors for the next 3 volumes of The Flash, and it all looks that fucking good.
Yeah, let's just say I'm excited.
It's really fucking good art. Just gorgeous stuff. Yeah. Anyway, getting into the actual issue.
This issue is by Christos N. Gage,
yes.
with art by Neil Googe.
Yes.
And yeah, this one probably. I know we talked about how filler isn't inherently bad. Probably the least important issue.
Yeah.
The one that feels kind of like a stopgap.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one that has some pretty fun stuff in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because we're dealing with. I feel like someone had the idea of like, well, the Flash can run fast. Well, what if he's up against an airplane?
Mm-hmm. This character reminds me of oh god, what's her name from that one Batman the Animated Series episode? Oh god, what was the character's name from the Ultimate Thrill? Roxy, that was it. Roxy Rocket. Yeah. She reminds me a lot of her, actually. Yeah, yep, yeah. She reminds me a lot of her. Just design wise, and I think personality wise in general. Just a fun character, fun villain. This is a character named Spitfire, in fact. And yeah, it's essentially a extremely fast hyper girl versus literally fast hyper, not hyper, but Barry Allen. But that's our basic premise. We do also get into
first couple pages are deceptively like funny because
the story is actually kind of dead serious, isn't it?
Yeah, the story like we open with like a ha 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 Barry. We have a megalomaniacal villain with a kind of corny design flying away in a plane that Barry can't catch. And he's going to try to vibrate through to get onto the plane, but oh no, he falls. And it's like, oh wait, turns out that this woman murdered Barry's mentor with a pathogen and has several other pathogens and is going to engage in biological warfare.
It gets so surprisingly dark in like a matter of seconds. It's so weird.
It hit me like a brick.
Yeah.
My original intention was like, because this is kind of short, I was like, I'm just gonna. I read the end. I'm like, oh, there's only 4 more issues. I'm sure I could get through most of that in a night. I then read this and I'm like, no, this got really dark. I need a break.
Yeah, it's actually really dark because it essentially turns into Barry on this sort of like revenge quest because he's like really pissed at this woman for killing his mentor. It's kind of grim, but also again some great action throughout. It's a good time for the most part. Barry has to like stop these like other viruses from like falling out of the plane as he's going through there. Again, it's just some great opportunities for an action sequence here. And that's pretty much the issue as it is.
There's a flashback. Like there's a moment where Barry literally runs on clouds.
Yes, I was trying to forget about that moment. That moment was really cool, actually. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is a one-issue story that has to be one and done entirely, which
Mm-hmm.
is maybe a shame for it, because it's there. It's like, oh, we're gonna be dealing with this really dark thing. Also, it turns out a point that Spitfire also is mixing Joker serum with other illnesses like the bubonic plague
Yeah,
and
absolutely
ricin
insane.
and
Like,
anthrax.
so many ideas, and I think it's not a bad issue or anything. It's just, it is, and also clearly has a lot more ideas than a single issue story can accomplish. Um,
Uh,
but
yeah,
it's fine. It's solid enough.
yeah. And I mean, there's a moment where the Flash has to literally catch all the pathogens,
Mm-hmm.
uh, save a stadium of people as the plane crashes, and fish Spitfire out of the Chicago River. Uh, like, yeah, it's a solid issue. It's
Yeah,
about it. It's about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
There isn't a whole lot here.
yeah. But that's fine. That's okay. We do have 3 issues though to sort of close this out here, and it's a 3 issue story. This is the Flash number 27 we're getting into now, which is the cover of the collection, which I don't think I would have chosen this one. I think I actually would have chosen the annual because I think I would
I was
rather.
gonna say I'm kind of
Yeah, I
surprised they
chose the
didn't.
annual cover. Yeah, but
I
whatever.
mean, maybe they didn't want to have the annual because it was too misleading because Hal Jordan isn't in anything else but just the one issue.
I think I've gotten more deceptive trade covers in the past.
Yeah, like the Court of Owls trade cover.
Yeah, yeah. Or you know what? Go with the random ass goes way too hard Mikkel Hannon cover at the end.
The
Make that
which one is that?
there's a Mikkel Hannon cover, right? Flash number 29. It's the last issue. It's a great cover, but and like it's kind of like that random Justice League issue we read not that long ago, where there's just an amazing Jim Lee cover in like that random ass plague story after Forever Evil. Like why?
You know, the
Why
Mikkel
do
Hannon cover I think also would work because it's relevant to the bulk of the volume too.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and also again goes hard because it's Mikkel Hannon.
yes. Anyway,
Whoa! I dropped my phone. Fuck, we're good.
oh,
We're fine.
that was not good.
That
I
was not amazing. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. Flash number
Flash
27.
number. I
Here we
love
go.
this one. This 3 issue is honestly kind of perfect for spooky season.
Yeah, it
Like,
is actually. Welcome to Flash Fall, friends. We totally planned this.
you definitely planned it.
I
Well, here's the thing.
definitely
Here's the
planned
thing.
this.
Like, we open in 1848 with this image of a miner being attacked and killed by his mining partner. His mining partner is called Marshall Fletcher. His name is Sutter,
Mm-hmm.
and it is just a great one-page opener. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's atmospheric, it's creepy. I'm like, okay, we're setting up some creepy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Also worth noting, the art in these issues, the interiors of these issues, is Patrick Zirker. I don't know, it's an art style that really matches this story. He was clearly chosen for a reason, and it's just good
Uh,
shit.
Perfectly matches the tone, the sort of horror thriller tone that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
Because
We do the
our,
however getting
our inciting incident is Barry is going after
two of the
Chroma
sort
and
of
Tar Pit,
yep,
who are two villains who are too dysfunctional to be even part of the Rogues.
yep,
Uh,
which I love. Fun idea.
and, you know, creative ways to deal with them, which is great, including a fire truck and um, and fire extinguishers. It's great. It's fun. And then the seriousness immediately drops as a pit with 17 decomposed bodies is discovered.
Yeah, yeah, so good. Spooky
It
season
is
indeed. I didn't even think about that.
it is really like it's a really great it's such a great image and it kind of just hits you like I'm like okay
Yeah,
we are going to delve into a horrific past.
Yeah. And so we get Barry and the rest of the crime lab sort of looking into this. Also, specifically, Captain Fry finally, who I don't think has shown up at all in these past issues we've read this episode. So yeah,
I think he showed up briefly in reverse to tell Barry with Singh get off the case. He was largely a background player, like he hasn't been front and center.
But now he's really here to say get off the case because
first off, we find out that this is a parasite of the Broomhill Butcher, who is Hollis Holton, who is serving 32 life sentences in Iron Heights.
And when Captain Fry hears this, Barry's like, "Hey, I can sort of look into this right now." And Captain Fry is like, "No, it's yours, Forrest." And he's like, "Because I said so, and I say so. Because I'm the captain, and I say so. That's it." And so he leaves, and Barry's kind of like, "Hey, what the fuck was that all about?" But he goes to like talk to Patty, and they start like looking into the case anyway.
Like let's at least figure out the timeline of these murders. And it's like, oh, these murders were 20-ish years ago.
Yeah, about the time that I don't know, Nora Allen was murdered, and a man that is clearly innocent was put away for her murder. That man that just so happens to be my father.
Barry is just immediately like, oh, I can't let this go.
Yeah, and everything.
I've got to get my hooks into this.
Yeah, and
so much so that he goes to his dad.
Yeah,
and tells him.
Yeah, and even his dad is like, nope, stop this shit immediately. He calls for his guard. He takes himself away. He doesn't want Barry to look into this. I was curious, actually, if you had any sort of like theories working on this as the story was going along, with specifically involving his dad or anything.
I clocked that his dad knows more than he was letting on. But we don't entirely know exactly where that's going. We have I'm very interested to see what Vendetti and Jensen.
Yeah, Ben Jensen. Yeah, they're gonna do some things with it. They're definitely gonna pick up on this, specifically the mom and dad
last panel of this story.
Yeah, definitely. Not immediately.
Barry, not letting it go, breaks into Iron Heights.
Yeah, as the Flash. Yeah, to talk to the guy that was convicted for these murders.
And is asking about the accomplice, and it's like, you don't understand. He's already dead, and so am I.
Who then throws himself off of a ledge. Flash catches
him. For some, and I was like, wait, why? Well, which just adds to the intrigue of like, okay, what scared this man so much that now he's trying to end it all? We have a brief fight with
Girder.
With Girder. Very briefly. Barry then gets Holden to give out the name Archibald Dillon. Now, they changed the name for the next issue to Archibald Dean for some reason, and I don't know why.
I never caught that, actually.
Yeah, so here I read these 3 issues back to back to back, and that's why I caught it.
That might be it. I think I definitely spread out my reading a little more.
Yeah, so I'm like, wait, hang on. I was like, I had to flip back to the decision. I'm like, oh, you just did a misprint.
Yeah. But which is the
imagine. Yeah, that's a very good question. This is very weird.
Captain Fry once again telling Barry to stay off the case, and Barry ignoring that, of course, and going as Flash to the cemetery.
Fry also reveals to Barry that that he wasn't just an old friend. He had a history with Barry's mother, an obviously implied romantic history. But he refuses to give Barry the authorization to exhume the corpse of Archibald Dillon / Dean.
Yep.
Barry's going to do it anyways.
Of course he's going to do it. He's going to go grave robbing, and he's going to dig up that grave and get attacked by a green ghost while he's doing it that says Fletcher must die, and taking us into then the Flash number 28, with a cover promising Deadman, the king that he is. My God, I love this man. So, picking up where we left off, Flash being attacked by a green ghost, saying Fletcher must die. We continue here with this sort of like fight.
Fletcher must die, and then we get this great narration of that, like there's someone from Barry, that there's someone in here controlling him, and it turns out, surprise, immediately Deadman has intervened and has taken control of Barry's body to stop this evil spirit.
Yep. But this evil spirit then also consumes Barry's body as well. So we got Boston Brand and this evil spirit in Barry at the same time. And Barry eventually sort of like fights it off and is able to get the two spirits out of his body. And now we're in Buddy Cop, Barry Allen, Boston Brand mode. And what is not to love?
Buddy Cop, Barry Allen, Boston Brand slasher movie mode. Because... Yes. This is the spirit of the Keystone Killer.
Oh God, I love it! Beautiful stuff.
Oh man, these 3 issues just relish tropes. It's kind of ironic that while reading this, I was also watching a bunch of slasher movies.
That's true.
Specifically, The Fog, Friday the 13th Part 2, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Like,
oh yeah, you did watch Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm glad you watched Nightmare on Elm Street. Good job.
Yeah, so like a bunch of different things that were like really felt appropriate, and I think helped me get into the vibe of what Buccellato was going for with this story.
That's really cool, actually. Also for those that keep up with the lore, this is yet another issue that my comic shop guy has to own because there's a John Constantine mention here. So there's that.
This time he gets mentioned by name.
By name. But yeah, what is this? This would have been after Trinity War, right? Or no, like right as Trinity War was happening.
No,
sorry, this is well after Trinity War. What am I saying?
Because remember, Trinity War ended.
We just had Forever Evil too. Yeah.
I think we might still be in the middle of Forever Evil territory.
It's like just about over because Venditti's going to talk about Forever Evil a lot at the start of his run. So
yeah, so we're right near the end of that event.
Yeah,
ish.
But I was just thinking of Trinity War because the Constantine mention is because of Barry having met him not that long ago. But anyway. Back with our Green Ghost Man, we get Barry and
we find out that this evil spirit wants to kill all Fletchers. Fletchers being the founding family of the Gem Cities, and this ghost possesses a security guard and steals the old gear of Marshall Fletcher. All so we can get these memories that turned out that there's this miner called Ulysses Sutter, who we saw at the very beginning of the last issue, going into the West for Manifest Destiny and some mining, and looking for some diamonds in the West. And Sutter refused to leave. He ended up finding diamonds. But like the very bloody history of the United States itself, Marshall Fletcher came back to check on him, found him with diamonds, and murdered him. Or attacked him and left him for dead to starve and become a vengeful spirit.
Yes. And now
it was at this point the score for The Fog started going off in my head because
nice.
That's the vibe I'm getting. This is.
I'm assuming you said The Fog, but your mic fucked up a little bit, so it sounded like you said The Fart, and I'm not even kidding.
No, The Fog.
Fog. Sure, I'll believe it when I hear it. So we then catch back up with our crime lab with Forrest, Singh, and Patty. See what they're kind of up to during all this. We also get once again Captain Fry being a little bit of a bitch through all this.
we have to hint that maybe Barry Allen is actually the son of Captain Fry? Question mark.
Dun dun dun. Yeah, that is what we're gonna start implying here. Which the last few issues do actually really heavily imply. Spoilers, that's not the case. But still, it's a fun thing to imply, and also would have been, I think, an interesting change for New 52 Barry. I don't know.
A very interesting change.
I don't know if it would have actually affected all that much. So I think it's something that they could have changed if they really wanted to, but they didn't, and I'm fine with either way, really. But yeah.
What also happens is we find out, oh, this ghost can possess people for a short amount of time, but gets permanent possession if it jumps into someone who's related to it directly. And then Barry gets to ask Deadman was going to ask Deadman about his mom. Deadman's like, no, I didn't see it. Also, I know you're Barry Allen because I literally possessed your body.
I was in your mind. Which is fun little moment. I do like his little he's like, with any consolation, I was surprised. It's a fun little moment. I like that. But yeah,
Patty calls Barry because there's a copycat killer on the loose. And there's this question of Patty thinks Holden might have done it. And it's like, well, no, Holden didn't do it. Are you sure? We could run the DNA to see if there's a match. It's like, the DNA. So Barry gets the idea to run back and check the DNA databases to find relatives of Ulysses Sutter.
And we get the most batshit insane last page of an issue in this whole run of issues this episode, and see Director Singh with a bloody pickaxe amid a pile of bodies here. What the hell? And also, okay, I should say insane, not just because it is an insane last page, but also made even more insane by the fact that we actually work our way out of this cliffhanger immediately in the next issue.
It is peak soap opera insanity.
Yeah.
Especially in the way that we work out. So, final issue, Flash 29. How are we going to work out on this? Well, his story is he picked up the pickaxe hearing someone coming, thinking the killer could still be there.
Moi. Classic. Beautiful. Love it.
And because this is set in the 2010s, there's surveillance footage of him doing just that.
Yes.
It is, I love it. But it's also we've had so much of a horror movie vibe that in a horror movie, no one would think to check the cameras, or the cameras would be mysteriously disabled.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's hilarious. So Barry's right, checking the DNA, and is going to look into descendants of Ulysses Sutter and Marshall Fletcher. Turns out Captain Fry is the last known descendant. Is his is the last known descendant. So we're gonna go to Captain Fry's house.
Mm-hmm. And Forrest is there as well. And Captain Fry is nowhere to be found. In the meantime, trying to think. Losing my mind here.
We have to piece up the fact that several members of the Central City Police Department's forensics team have just been murdered. Yes. And we're looking for the first meeting place of Captain Fry and this killer. And Barry takes it upon himself to break into Fry's personal files and finds a file of Alan, Barry paternity results, DNA, Giving a very soap opera, no, it can't be!
Yeah.
Before we then find out that Captain Fry goes to meet with this ghost.
Yes.
Loaded with explosives.
Suicide bomber style, like literally like
ready
inside
to blow
his jacket.
Ready to blow himself and the ghost sky high.
Yes, because you know how you can blow up a ghost. Barry goes to hopefully stop him. He removes the grenades from the situation, and
Deadman is also here to help out.
Yes.
Quite literally dropping the House of Mystery from the sky, a la the Wizard of Oz.
Beautiful, love it. We then have the ghost attacking Barry. Barry sort of like baiting it into believing that he is also a descendant of the Fletchers, this sort of like possession is unsuccessful.
Specifically, he's a descendant of the Sutters.
The Sutters,
not the Fletchers.
Yeah,
which it turns out he is not.
Yes. Because Barry is not really Fry's real son. So there's that.
We basically then get the Keystone Killer trapped inside the House of Mystery, which
and send the House of Mystery away.
Flies back into the sky. We get a very nice scene between Barry, Patty, and Captain Fry. About that. Yeah. Captain Fry did love Barry's mom. It didn't work. And to sort of repay her after her death, he took in Barry and loved him as if he was his own. And it's very nice.
And we end, showing Barry and Patty, being together still. And our final couple panels of this being Fry going to visit Barry's father, saying that he can never know who really killed Nora Allen. Dun, dun, dun. And that is the end of the run. which is absolutely insane, and I'm glad I can promise you that does definitely get picked up on in the following run.
I had a feeling if it didn't, we wouldn't have read this like
as a complete block, or
okay. Well, that and this could have been like how when we did Scott Snyder's Batman, we skipped Graveyard Shift, and
yeah, that's fair. And
sense.
Just like not covered history. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But no, it gets picked up on, and yeah, like I said, Venditti does a really good job in the next run of picking up on a lot of things from this run. So yeah. All that said, we did it, and actually in under 2 hours, which I'm kind of surprised by. But I think it also just feels like a long day because we recorded so much today. Which I think leads nicely into promotions. Speaking of things we recorded, but actually, you should go first. You should. Actually, no. I totally skipped over final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Yeah, Jacob. We didn't do any final thoughts.
Oh man, do some final thoughts.
Reverse is definitely the stronger of the two volumes. But I think History Lessons is strong enough. Like you can level the filler accusations, but it's not bad. It's far from bad filler.
Yeah, the only weaker issue I would say is the Spitfire issue,
and even that, I still say that's a good issue. It's
it's solid. It's solid.
It's just a little limited because it's one issue. I have a feeling that the DC wasn't entirely sure on who was taking over the book. Like
maybe because at this point, Venditti would have been on Green Lantern for like close to a year at this point. He started on GL at issue 21. So yeah, it would have been a little over half a year at this point.
So it's like, oh well, Brian Buccellato has the story he wants to tell for 3 issues. We'll give him 3 issues. He'll have the annual Maniples left. We have one in between the sort of Manipul and Buccellato on his own.
Yeah, we're just kind of like filling in most of the time until Venditti takes on the run.
So it's like we're getting in a new team. We haven't quite finalized who that new team is yet. So we'll just do this nice three-parter. It's easy, keeps things moving. History Lessons is genuinely good stories. Reverse is, again, strongest thing for Manipul and Bucalato together on the run. It is really good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm glad we read it. They're both great, both solid. This isn't like, say, a Wanted Hal Jordan situation where we have a volume that is a complete mixed bag. Like, these are two quite strong volumes. Yeah, and
to be fair,
I'm very
in the Wanted Hal Jordan episode, we also did cover Revenge of the Green Lanterns. So
this is also true.
Yeah, big win there.
I'm very excited to see what Vendetti and Jensen do.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you think of it, because I'll say for our remaining 4 volumes, though we're covering it across 2 episodes. Next episode actually works really nicely as one big story. Volumes 6 and 7 are really kind of like one big thing. So that'll be nice to cover as one. The last 2 volumes are separate stories, but still, yeah, a nice way to close out the run as a whole. And volume 8, I would say, is, I think, one of the more important New 52 Flash stories to read, because it is the reintroduction of Eobard Thawne. Which, again, I repeat, isn't a spoiler because it's called Zoom. There's no surprise. He's on the cover. He's right there. It's not a spoiler. But yeah. Also, I beg of you, don't read the little like description on the back of the volume for volume 9. It spoils the weirdest twist in volume 9. You need to read it to believe it.
Noted. I haven't. I won't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you do read the cover description, the back cover descriptions at all. Or
not. I read some of them.
Okay, well, don't do it with volume 9. Yeah. Anyway, that actually does it now. There we go. Go us.
Yes.
Promotions, Jacob. What do you got going on right now?
Really, the only thing I have is I have been reading Star Trek on my blog, sort of in tandem with you. Nearing the end of Star Trek the Animated Series, I will have just done an episode called Albatross, which, I don't know, animated series, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if those reviews are necessarily my best work, because there isn't always a whole lot to talk about with the animated series episodes.
You could write an entire thesis on the fact that the thing that everybody knows about TAS comes from Albatross. The one thing.
What one thing?
It's the Kirk surprised hand on his face meme.
Oh, it's that? Okay.
It comes from that episode, which I think is hilarious, because if you're watching through all of TOS and TAS, that is the 100th episode of Star Trek, which I think is also hilarious.
That is quite funny. Yeah, so I've been reviewing that.
Yeah.
That's about it for me.
Yeah.
So Joey, you have things to plug.
On my side of things, speaking of Star Trek, I also review Star Trek with my brother. Videos come out week to week. Albatross is coming up, right? Or no, it has come out. That is there.
Yeah, it will just come out.
Which puts us at 2 videos away from finishing TAS, and then it's Star Trek movie time, which is absolutely insane to me. And I'm so looking forward to releasing those videos. They've been recorded for a while now, and I think they're, for my money at least, the movie videos are some of the best Star Trek discussions I think I've ever had with my brother. And I also I'll say it now. They were just a surprisingly emotional experience, not just because it was they were big emotional stories or things like that, or because we were saying goodbye to those characters. It represented, I think, a really transitional period of my and his life at the time, and so going through those stories at that particular time, I think made for some just really nice discussions that I look back on very fondly. And
plus, I imagine they're slightly longer discussions than the animated series has been.
Each of those videos are about 20-25 minutes each, so they're solid discussions. But yeah, check those out. Sorry, I rambled for a while about that. Other things on the channel, we have other Fresh Face things. There's the rest of the podcast, Fresh Face Comics, obviously, but also we have these spin-off Fresh Face one-shots, where we cover, here's the list: Superman by Joshua Williamson, Wonder Woman by Tom King, Batman the Brave and the Bold by Various, the Summer DC event of 2024, Absolute Power, Batman Death in the Family, Robin Lives, and Batman The Last Halloween. Long Halloween, The Last Halloween is the full name of it, if you want to be weird about it. We also cover
most recent.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was to say, this past week we put out videos for it on Superman, Wonder Woman, and The Last Halloween.
Also, we do Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone, and I do myself for Fresh Face Solos, X-Men by Jed MacKay, which is having a crossover event later this year between X-Men and Uncanny. So we'll turn those into full one-shot coverage videos towards the end of the year. So check that out when that comes out.
Thank goodness that is only
it's 4 issues altogether. Yeah, it's not that
4 issues altogether. It should be done math. It's not going to be a crazy amount.
Also, there's R2BD. I did mention R2BD earlier this episode. Our most recent episode, we did a High Republic Spectacular where we covered the Acolyte, Light of the Jedi, and the Blade. So that was a lot of fun stuff there. Our R2BDs are kind of on hold right now, just because me and my brother are recording some Star Trek things in advance because we need to catch up on those. So we're doing those at the moment. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so R2BD
Breaking Brian is...
Breaking Brian exists. We don't talk about Breaking Brian, but I was just going to say R2BD will have another episode coming out, hopefully in late October, I believe, where we're going to be talking some Clone Wars things, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, Breaking Brian is a series that exists somewhere in the space-time continuum. I'm sure you could check that out when that comes out, maybe, eventually. Who knows if it even will. That's it. Socials, our link trees, all that will be in the description below, as well as links to the books we covered today and next time and forevermore on the podcast on Fresh Face Comics. I think that does it. Subscribe to the channel. Be sure to leave a rating, review, wherever the hell you are listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening to us. Subscribe to Blood Donut Studios on YouTube. I am so tired. I think that about does it.
Once again, because I know we said it, but for one final time, next time we will be covering Volume 6 and 7 of The Flash from the New 52, Out of Time and Savage World.
Thank you for making up for my tiredness right now. I really appreciate it.
And one final thank you so much for listening. So until next time,
this has been Joey Morgan
and Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.
Bye.